Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Juanita. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. We'll talk to experts and business leaders. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Juanita Cap is a public speaker who was in the ministry for 15 years. She has extensive knowledge of various topics such as leadership and communication, and has emceed many executive and academic events. Juanita is the founder of 2 unique shows. Her life motto is never give up.
Juanita, happy St. Patrick's Day. How are you?
I'm so well, thank you. Sifu, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not wearing green. I see you boasting a beautiful green shirt there, but my ring is green, so I'll just jump in right there.
There you go. Today is a day that so many people are celebrating, and I just want to put this out there for everybody in America, especially. Drive safe. If you're drinking today, don't drive. Uber, Lyft, get a friend to drive you, right? We want you around tomorrow.
Please.
So, Juanita, what an exceptional show we have lined up for today. We have 2, not 1, but 2 amazing guests. Yeah. Should we bring them on and share some amazing advice in business and just in life, right?
Let's do that. I'm so excited. We are going to have a wonderful, edifying conversation, of course, about business today. So we welcome Andrew Frazier and Aaron Shelley to the show. Welcome, guys.
Hello, gentlemen.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. So we are super excited for ideas of business concepts and general overall mindset, if you will, right? Because good business has to have the right mindset.
Yes.
Aaron, you and your wife, you're very busy today, right?
Yep. Yeah. My wife we run an Irish dance company. We've done it for 20 years. Irish dance studio and a company, actually. So a lot of stuff going on with St. Patrick's Day, a lot of stuff this whole week, actually. Everyone wants to have people performing. So it's great opportunity to get marketing out there.
Yeah, beautiful. So, Aaron, I am going to ask you if you don't mind sharing what you're going to talk to us about. Let me just get you into the zone.
Ooh, there we
go. There you are. Come on down, buddy. Talk to us.
All right. The stuff that I want to look at is, I have a book called The Family Flywheel, and it's really looking at using a lot of the principles we use in families and business and overlapping the two. I see a lot of people in business who are really successful, but then they'll have family lives, and if they'll have less or more successful families, and then they have issues in business. But if we understand the principles and the overlap, I think we have a lot of good opportunities to utilize those and become more successful in both, because I think it's more, if you can be successful in your family, you'll also be successful in your business, right? They both give you energy or take it away. So kind of treating us as whole human beings and looking at it across the normal boundaries of business and family, I think can be really helpful for us.
Awesome. When we are considering, let me get this here. Sorry about that. When we are considering family and business, so many people separate it, but you guys don't. And I understand the importance of that. And a lot of people don't. And it's almost like some people are leading 2 lives, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I see this in my wife's Irish dance business. I actually never done any Irish dance, but she has. And so I take care of all the technical stuff, all the marketing, the music, all of those things. And then she takes care of all the teaching, the choreographies. And she does we have these, the recital's going to have over 1,000 people there watching. So it's this big, she has all the shows and production stuff. So we in our business, it's very complementary. You're looking for complementary skill sets, right? If you're trying to go start a new business, you want someone to do sales and someone to build the product or deliver the product. And so if you're a lot of times in families and in business, we'll get two people who are the same, two engineers both working, and you're going, where's the synergy here? And so I think we want to look for, you want someone in business and in family who's going to complement you, because then you'll actually get these great synergies. Whereas if you do, get the same skill set, what you find is people are just walking all over each other. They start to disrespect and have all these issues. So that's one of the big areas where I think you can just basic specialization and having different domains and appreciating the different domains of each person.
Beautiful.
Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Andrew, at any time you can chime in. Let's put Aaron on the hot seat, right?
Okay. Definitely. So, family business is always a challenge. I've worked with many family businesses, and many times, some businesses only one family member owns it, and the others don't and runs it. Sometimes multiple family owns it, and they try to run it together. Which situation do you think works best, and why?
From what I've seen, because I actually have with the Irish Dance business, we were in business with another family member. The problem got to be, we had started it, and then years later they got involved. And so then it became an equity issue and all sorts of control issues. So yeah, I think it's better if you both have a clear understanding of business. That's really where people often are like, well, I'm doing the same job, or I'm doing something similar, I deserve it, right? You're like, no, I started this 10 years ago, did all the hard work, did all these things, took all the risk, and now you want to get involved because it's just successful now, right? I'm sure you see that all the time. People, I don't want to take the risk, but I want to get the rewards. And so that's where I think if you're starting it together, you see very successful teams that do it together. But if you're pulling in family members after the fact, you have problems with nepotism, you have some of those things. So to me, you've got to be very careful about how you bring people in and out of the family business. But that's really the bigger issue that I see with the family is like, it's great if you're together and you're all winning together. But if you start to come in and out at different places, or, people are like, oh, I had this opportunity, now I'm leaving. Now what do we do? So that's really the complexity I see, is getting everyone on the same page at the same time.
Excellent.
That's so true. Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to chime in here as well with you, Erin. You mentioned so many wonderful and very pivotal and important principles. And I believe Sifu is going to elaborate on that, but you mentioned some key words here that made me think about some principles that we actually used in the ministry when we cast a vision for the church. We always used to say, there can never be a vision within the vision. There's one vision and everybody runs towards that. So it's it can be a dangerous thing if you have, dual mindsets. That's one of the things. And I also wanted to mention another biblical principle, Sifu, is that, if your home life is in order, your business will also run smoothly. If you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, if you're the only CEO and your wife and your children, like in your case, Erin, your wife is involved, but sometimes the spouse isn't, well, they don't realize it, but they are. Because there's going to be a lot of sacrifices. There's going to be a lot of late nights and early mornings. And the sooner the family really, just grasps that vision and they are all in, that's when we can build sustainable business models, because we do life, we do family, we have church, we have other areas, and that all influences our businesses as well.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it's that looking at the whole business model and looking at how do we get it so that it's sustainable, and looking at each party in there, it's super important. And getting that, I think most companies have a vision, right? I mean, I'm sure Andrew will talk about this. Like, where are we going? Like, imagine hiring someone into a business without having a vision of what you're trying to do. Well, we're going somewhere, we're going to try to make money. People would be like, that's not really compelling. And I think it's the same in our families. A lot of families, if you actually get the husband and wife together, myself included when I was younger, it's like a startup when I was younger in my marriage. It's just like, how do we make enough money to survive? Right. And then you kind of get past that startup phase. You're like, okay, we got this now. Now we're generating some extra money. But it's like, what is your vision and goal? And I think a lot of times people, if it's helpful if people start from the beginning, as both in business and in family, what are we together trying to build? To your point, like with having this collective vision, because in business and in family, as soon as you have children, there's going to be sacrifices in your family, right? There's going to be, how are we going to make this work? And now we have free time. Now we have to have someone with these children, 100%. And same with businesses. I mean, I had a friend he did a startup, and at one point they didn't pay his mortgage for 6 months, right? It was just like, and him and his wife, like you say, Juanita, like his wife, whether she liked it or not, she was in the business. And so that's where you look at it. You can pretend like your spouse isn't in your business together, right? But as soon as you're a salesperson, or even with, we've been doing podcasts and all of a sudden it's interesting times, and it's like you have to accommodate each other. So we can pretend like family and business are separate, but when you get laid off from a job or when your business doesn't go well, all of a sudden your whole family's affected. So I think to try to disconnect the two is a very poor idea. Instead, if we keep them together, we'll be able to make much better decisions.
Yeah, without a doubt. One of the things that I'm listening to is the synergy, right? The synergy that we have to have. Imagine you went into partnership with someone else and you just said, yeah, just come in. And this is what we do. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. What do you mean this is what we do? We actually, there's more to that, right? Because, and you talked about, there has to be clear guidelines of even where the money goes, the finances, marketing. There is so many different aspects to a business that someone coming in, maybe they come in with money but they're not doing any of the work. So you got to figure that out. You have to be clear on every aspect of the business, because I'm sure that once you had a family member come in when you guys already established the business, and then you had equity problems, that is where we have to say, almost like you have to draw up a contract, right? This is what and you know what? It is business. And yes, you're my family, but guess what? Tell me if you've never heard of a family member kind of stabbing another family member for the business, right? I know we've all heard it. We've seen it a million times in movies, but listen, I've experienced it myself. Somebody I trusted, right? Embezzling money from my business. Trust. Oh my goodness. How does that happen? Everything was in place, but you can't stop people from doing what they're going to do, but you have to put the guidelines in, right?
Well, and that's where I think I'm sure you guys will talk about this possibly, but the biggest mistake you make in a business is hiring the wrong person, right? They don't come in with the right expectations. You don't filter them correctly. And then, they're involved for months and kind of getting integrated into the business. And then you got to let them go. And you're like, wow, that cost me so much of my time and energy and political capital, all sorts of things. And that's where I think, like, it's the same in a family. Like, the worst mistake you'll ever make in your family is hiring the wrong spouse. Like if you marry the wrong person and they're on a different path, they're going to be continually, Juanita, you talked about this, they're continually pulling you in two separate directions. And so it's like, how do you get that alignment? Because there's so many questions in business and family. And I've seen, actually, the last business I was with, we kind of were in this lifestyle business, right? Where it's, hey, we're making money and we're living pretty well. But then we kind of transitioned into a high growth model. And then all of a sudden the requirements and the demands got so much heavier. And then the founders had issues. They're like, well, I don't know. I don't want it to get this big. And I don't want to manage all these people. So you have these different demands within the business that stretch it. And I think it's the same, in a family, there's a lot of transitions that you're going through. You have children. That's a big transition. Then you have your, this early children where they need lots of attention. Then they get into the late stage. Okay, they don't need as much. But that's when they're the smartest and you can actually talk to them intelligently. And then they leave the house and then you have all this freedom. So there's these interesting transitions that a family goes through that we can kind of anticipate. A business is a little more difficult because you don't know if sales is going to go quickly or how things are going to change as much. But in a family, if we just predict those, like, I mean, there's people who get divorced as soon as they retire because their spouses, they come home and their spouse is like, oh my gosh, you annoy the crap out of me.
Who are
So,
you?
yeah, I mean,
That's
guys
true.
will come home and like, okay, we got to get more efficient. Let's do everything. And the woman's like, I got everything packed. Like, go away. So there's just these interesting transitions that I see in business and family that if we pay attention to them, we can actually mitigate most of those. But if we're unaware and just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, a lot of times we end up in very bad situations.
We do. Guys, I want to take a second and invite everyone on the show to our event happening in New York. Let me share a little something with you guys. That's just a quick teaser, guys. There's more coming. Actually, the next one you'll see is going to be with some audio in it, because for us, bringing people together, I think that's the best way that we're talking about business and bringing people together, whether it's family, another partner, anything like that. So I think it's important for us to understand that there is a lot of dynamics that go into business to create a functional business that's going to impact your world, right? And the world around you. So we'd love to get Andrew's ideas and opinions, because he helps small businesses really level up and even get funding, right? That's one of the biggest things that some people don't understand. And one more thing before I bring Andrew on is thinking about financing, right? When you make money in the business, you also have to think about investing. You don't put the money that you made in your company for 20 years, right, Aaron, under the mattress, did you?
No, hopefully not.
No, you continue. This is why, I mean, my book is called The Family Flywheel, because it's all about reinvestment, right?
Mhm.
That's one of the hard things that I think also family members and business people, they don't understand. It's like, yes, the business made $1 million and then we hired people and then we did all these things with the money. Now the money's gone. It's not like I just, it made $1 million and I put it in my pocket. So a lot of times just people who don't understand business have this feeling like, oh, you have all this money because your business is well. And you're like, no, my whole purpose is to make an impact and have this sustainable business that creates money, then it uses it more effectively, creates more, it creates this great flywheel process and builds like we see the great companies do.
Yeah. I'd love to for you to put your link in the private chat so we can share your link with you. And that's a book that I need on my shelf. You see my shelf back there. It's by all authors, right? And I definitely would love that book. But so why don't you go ahead and put your info in the private chat, and we'll put it across the screen. And so now we're going to bring my good friend, Andrew. Boom, Andrew, you are on, my friend.
All right, great. One of the key challenges is there's so many things that you need to know as a business owner that's really impossible to know them all. And as a result, most businesses aren't growing and not making as much as the owners would like. And, because of that, having worked with over 1,000 business owners one-on-one, I work on helping them to grow, and you start to see patterns. And, wrote my book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, in response to that, because, there's certain things every business owner needs to know. And, unfortunately, many of them know some of them, but not all of them. But what you don't know can hurt you. So, really, the goal is to learn as much as you can to become a better business owner so you can run your business more successfully, focusing on how to become more focused, how to become more confident running your business. And as a result, you'll be more profitable. And that's what business is all about.
Love that. Absolutely. You mentioned a key point there, the confidence that you gain.
Hmm.
Uh, People pick up on that.
Yes.
If you're not confident in your product, in yourself, in the business that you run, in your people, in your team, in your staff, in your family, people pick up on that. And for some reason, they can't put their finger on it, but for some reason, they'll cancel things or they'll keep postponing. You have to have that confidence. You have to be in alignment so that you can draw the people. You don't chase, you attract those people when you are confident in what you do and in your skill set. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about leadership. You know, being successful in business, you have to lead your organization. And like you said, if you're not confident, your employees know you're not confident. And how are you going to lead them to, you know, do the best job in terms of creating the company that achieves your goals and your vision?
So how do you help them feel confident when at the same time you're saying they don't know? There's so much they don't know, right? Confidence, ignorant confidences can cause a lot of problems. So when you say confidence, how with knowing so little?
Well, I think part of it is about developing the knowledge. So, you know, through coaching and consulting, you know, developing the knowledge. A lot of times, you know, they only know their business. So, you know, they haven't worked in another organization. So they don't, you know, when they're doing things, they don't have the experience doing that. But, you know, having been a supervisor, a manager, an executive at different organizations, you know, being able to let them know, you know, this is sort of best practices. You know, these are some things that you can do to make it go smoother. Um, you need to put these things in place now before you start having these problems in the future. Because many times, you know, they're sort of doing the best they can, but, you know, really not, you know, knowing what to expect and maybe not even really understanding what's going on around.
Mm. So they're really having confidence in having you as their mentor, kind of in their back pocket. When things come up, they're like, oh, I know someone who has been through this, and therefore they can help me through it.
Yes, and everybody should have a board of directors, you know, other business owners, other people who, you know, are going through the same journey or similar journey. You know, it's important to bring in expertise when you need it. You know, one of the biggest things is most business owners aren't comfortable on the financial end of their business. So, you know, I spend time educating, but also putting in tools, you know, making sure that, you know, their bookkeepers doing their job. Because a lot of times they don't really know whether, and they're not really happy with them. Same with their accountant. But they don't have any way to judge because they don't know. So being able to know whether they've got the right people, if not, you know, getting help, getting the right people. And then the biggest thing is setting up key performance indicators. You know, if you understand what's driving your business and you keep your eye on it and you know those things are going right, then you know your business is going right. But you can also figure out if things are going in the wrong direction much earlier so you can do things about it. So you end up being able to run your business rather than having your business run you. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I love this conversation that we're having based on business when we are including other people. There's a lot of solopreneurs out there, and they may be successful to a point. To a point. You know, if somebody's a coach, if somebody does whatever it is, and maybe they're a salesman, it's important even then to have other people helping you, guiding you, to have a mentor, to have a coach, so that those people help you. Even if you're a solopreneur, I believe that a coach, if you hire a coach, they're part of your business now, right? But a lot of people think, oh, I'm a solopreneur, I do everything on my own. I don't truly believe that. I believe that if you have a spouse and maybe you're a salesman, you maybe practice with your spouse how to sell, how to do a better presentation, right? So even though maybe your spouse is not working with you, they are part of your business. Your children, you can practice on your children. Hey, let me try to sell you this item, right? So business is, can you sell a boring thing to a child? If you can, man, you're good at it, right? So if you sell stuff that's boring, try selling it to children, right? And all of a sudden your level of confidence will go up because they will walk away from you. And that is a reflection of what your customers will do. If you can get a child engaged in what you're selling, it's because you're entertaining. And I believe sales have to be entertaining, they have to be informative, and they have to provide the client with what it is they're looking for. But we still need that entertainment value to keep them engaged and say, you know what? I saw this same product from this other salesperson, but I like you better. I'm going to go with you instead, right? So bringing that charisma, I think, is something that helps in business. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say, the second chapter of my book is called What's Your Most Important Job as a Business Owner? And surprising many business owners don't really know what that is. And how are you going to be good in business if you don't know your most important job? And so, selling and marketing is key, but many people, given it's so important, you should be good at it. So it's great that you mentioned you should practice on kids. You don't get good at something if you don't practice. Actually, in my coaching sessions, I'll be like, sell me, and give people feedback, because that is your most important job. Best salespeople go to sales training, get coaching on it. So given how important that is to your business, you need to know everything you can about it, and especially marketing, because the better you market, easier it is to sell.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I agree with you, Andrew. And also, Erin asked a wonderful question about the confidence. How do you build confidence? You have to give them personal and professional development continuously. We learn a system this week, 2 weeks from now, there's a new system, and everybody's going in that direction because it's giving us a better return on investment. That is just the business world. You have to be adaptable. And then, Andrew, of course, practice makes perfect. So we have to do what Sifu has, sell things to children, boring things to children, and practice and get your family involved. Because when we learn the linguistics of business and the avenues, when we should do a hard sale, when we should do a soft sale, then we'll have a better feedback from the people that we work with, because every situation is different. Sometimes you can do the right thing, but sometimes you can do it in the wrong way, and you really have to nurture that business sense. When is it time now to really do that hard sale, or should I first do the soft sale? And different scenarios, different people, we have to be able to be fluent in all of those.
I have something to pick with you, my dear, because you said practice makes perfect. If we become perfect, then we have nothing left to do. So I've never met a perfect person, and I think practice makes us better.
Practice
And
makes us better.
continue to practice daily. So we will never be perfect. I think there's only one perfect being in this universe of ours. And so I agree with everything you said, but just that one statement always gets me, because I used to say it constantly. You want to be great, you got to practice. You want to be perfect, you got to practice. And now I say, you want to be a champion, you want to practice, right? So that for me has a different connotation nowadays, because I'm still looking for that perfect person, and I want to have a great interview with them.
Okay.
Well, that's why we need personal and professional development, right? Continuously.
Right. And also you need that development so that you can practice the right things. You're not going to get that good if you're practicing the wrong methods. So getting access to the knowledge and expertise you need so that you're learning how to do the right things and practicing them so you'll get the results that you want.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, the terminology, the term I've heard is practice makes permanent, right? That's how you get, so you just run it, but it's good or bad, it's going to become permanent. But I had a question for Andrew. At what point are people coming to you? Because in my experience, most of these entrepreneurs, I mean, you've dealt with thousands of them, they're coming to you when stuff's on fire. They're not coming to you when it's like, oh, I'm growing so well and it's phenomenal. Hey, I just feel like I need a coach. They're only coming to you when it's on fire, I'm assuming. So how do you deal with them? And how do you get them kind of fix the immediate problem potentially and then get them on a good track?
Well, that's a great point. As a business owner, you're so busy. So, you don't really think of things a lot of times or act on them until there's a problem. So, sometimes they call that a burning platform. You need to do something. So you're like, let me get some help. So, one of the biggest things, you start to see patterns. So, a lot of times people come to me because they need financing. So that could be a problem of many things. And, a lot of it is basically they may not be running their business right. A lot of times people come because they're not selling and marketing effectively. So they're not getting the traction with their business that they'd like. Yeah. But also if they're growing, there's a lot of challenges with growth because people can go out of business just as easily by growing too fast as not. And I think that's the biggest thing I help people with because, you have to anticipate things and understand what happens in growth. And one of the biggest things they underestimate is that when you grow, even though you're selling more and making more profit, your cash is disappearing. So, if you don't plan for inputting cash or getting the financing early on when you hit a growth cycle and throughout the growth cycle, you're going to have terrible cash flow issues, and that's going to hurt your growth and maybe put you out of business.
So is your first thing kind of getting their balance sheet, their income statement, their cash flow statement, helping them understand it and kind of help read it? Is that kind of how you going to get there? I mean, because that's what I've seen with a lot of companies. They just don't even understand what those are giving them.
Yes. Well, I always get to that, but I always start with your most important job. I like to make sure they understand what marketing is, understand marketing 101, sales 101, understand how they're generating revenues, because that's the first thing. Once they're doing that, once we know about that, you do want to know how much do they know about how their business works. And if you don't understand your financial statements, you don't really understand how your business works. So definitely helping people to understand it. It's scary, but if you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide with a calculator, there's no reason that you can't understand and do your financials as long as you pointed out, what the key things. And there's only about 10 things you really need to know. So, help make sure, you don't have to do your financials. You just need to look at them and understand what they're telling you.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that for me is important when I'm talking to another business owner is who started the fire, right? Was it you, or was it, another employee, or was it a business adventure that you went on, something that you took on? And you're right, a lot of businesses do close because they got too big, and now all of a sudden they don't have the manpower. Right. So manpower, having the right people in place, you guys talked about it, having the right people in place is significantly important daily, not just once in a while.
Right. And having systems and processes. As you grow, it's one thing, how to do stuff. But like you said, if you bring someone else in, if you don't have systems and processes, how are they going to learn how to do it? How are they going to do it consistently? How are they going to do it efficiently and effectively? So, so definitely, that's a key piece.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So one thing I want to go back to, if it's okay, You talk about financing, and everybody's always concerned about that. But financing is a world into itself. So if you're going to get financing, you really need to have some help and some perspective from people who understand it. I've run into people, work with people every day. They're like, I'm getting the financing, but couple rules of thumb. Usually you don't want to get financing from someone who's trying to give it to you, because usually that's the worst financing. So you have to, so try to sell it to you too hard. You should run. You really have to have your stuff in order. And there's so many different types of financing, types of organizations. So many people go to the wrong place to try and get the financing they want. So that's key. And many people don't deserve financing because they're not prepared and not ready. But they don't know that because they're trying to do it themselves and haven't sought expertise. Even if someone at a bank or wherever, just getting some understanding of what you're trying to do, because unlike consumer financing where there's protections, there's no protections for you as a business owner. So whatever you sign, you're on the hook for. And there's a lot of terms in those agreements that people sign but don't understand. One of my clients, he bought a building, and it came on when he was in the process of buying. I was like, "You want me to help you with the finance?" He said, "No, I got it. He went from 5% interest rate to 10% interest rate within 9 months. So his mortgage doubled. And now I'm trying to help him figure out a new way, but all he had to do was ask, and that wouldn't have been an issue. So
Andrew, when's the best time for people to come to you? Like what would be kind of the signs that you would hope they would see before they are totally on fire, and then you're just starting to put out fires? When do you see that it'd be best, and what kind of signs would they look for?
I'm going to answer that instead of Andrew. I'm going to answer that. I'm going to tell you. Ready? And then Andrew can take it from here. Yesterday.
Yes.
We were all leaning forward, and you say yesterday.
Definitely yesterday. And the interesting part is, women are way more better at asking yesterday than men are.
Thank you, Andrew.
But definitely that. The Small Business Development Center is across the country. There's different ones across the country, funded by the SBA. It's a free resource. They offer great training. They offer free business counseling. I work with the one here in New Jersey, and we teach a business planning course, 20 hours. I teach 5 hours of accounting, 5 hours of finance for like $90. It's not even $10 an hour. And the amount that you can learn in preparation for your business will make all the difference in the world, and help you really run your business, help what you're doing, because many people don't even have a written business plan.
That's the huge topic. When we think about that, I'm going to share this with you guys, because I know that a lot of people who are just getting into business, or who are starting a second or third or fourth business because they consider themselves entrepreneurs, think they can do it alone. And we need the right teams. So let me share this video with you guys.
Heroes Rising Apex is the highly anticipated business event of the year. This gathering of industry leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, and visionaries promises to be a game-changing experience that will inspire, educate, and provide amazing networking opportunities. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world of innovation, strategy, and collaboration as we embark on an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and success. Join us in New York on July 14th through the 16th.
Bam, there it is. So come to New York and have experts help you understand business better, help you get financing, because I'm hoping that Andrew will be there, and I'm hoping Aaron will be there. He's going to talk about family and business and all these different concepts. Juanita's coming all the way from South Africa. It's going to be an amazing event. We are going to have so many experts in our panels. You'll be able to rub elbows with everybody. One of the things I want to touch upon right now, and you guys have been doing it all along, I want to take about 2 minutes and talk about a team that will help you in your business. But if they are not a true team, they just work for you. And this is what I tell my employees. I don't want you to work for me. If this is a job, do me a favor, go find another one. We have to become family. So, you know, Aaron, you're talking about family. I'm talking about people who I just met, who I interviewed and let them know you're walking into something different. This may be, you may think this is a job for you, but this is not a job for you. I want to give you authority. I want to give you clarity as to what your role is in this business. You may be coming in this position, but that position has growth. We have to have a mindset. I don't want you in that position for long. I want you to teach that position to as many people as you can. So now I'm creating a leader from day one. For me, it's also, I want them to be comfortable when they're at work. You know, there's coffee, there's snacks, there's wherever they want. And they're like, hey, can I do? Yeah, sure, go for it. But we need that open communication. For me to have a team that is on board with my vision, they have to buy into the vision. Because if they only come in and they see me, oh yeah, man, he's making money, I'm just making a wage, they're just going to work for the paycheck. But when they see a growth opportunity, they see that they can make a difference, their passion will grow when they talk to my customers. And I also let them know, by the way, my customer is your customer. So make sure you treat them with respect and the way you want to be treated. You know, and that's why my customers, you know, one of the things you want to consider is you want to have raving customers, but it doesn't start with the customer. It starts with the people who are helping you develop your dreams and your goals. And that's your employees. I don't call them employees. They're my family. So I take family a little bit different than just like my spouse or my children or my cousin or my uncle or whoever. You come work for me. You don't work for me anymore. You work with me. We work together. We are a true team. So thank you guys for letting me share that. And I think that is huge for any business.
Yeah, I love that. And it really it converges with what I was going to also discuss. Sifu, thank you so much for mentioning that, because, you know, the just simplicity is always the best way. Going back to the basics and staying, you know, to our morals and our values, and really letting that cipher out to our businesses as well. Because the 4 pillars of building a sustainable business model, what are they? I mean, we spoke about businesses that go so big, and sometimes they grow so fast, and they unfortunately crash and burn because they don't know the art of delegation. They don't know the principles that they needed to learn. And that's where we talked about personal and professional development. But just to, in a minute or two, just to recap the 4 pillars of building a sustainable business, what are they? We are working with people. If you don't have people, you don't have a business. If you don't have customers or clients, who are you gonna provide a business to? And that's why I went to Sifu's dojo in January. I trained with him in the studio because I'm also a martial artist. And I have to say, that is a family setting. It is the vibe that you get when you go in there. People are so important, not only the students, but the employees. And Sifu, you make the people feel comfortable and, important in your setting. That is a wonderful principle. That's a pillar, because what would we do without people? Also, our environment. Is the environment sustainable? Is the environment a psychological safe space for employees to come to us with problems and say, I know if I'm having a bad situation at home or something's happening with their health, I can call Juanita, I can schedule a meeting. She will be inviting, she'll be accommodating, she'll be accepting and loving. She'll understand me because there is a psychological safe space. Otherwise, they are working under conditions of anxiety and stress and fear and worry, and it's inevitably going to affect their output and everything that they do. And then also the economic resources. And Sifu, you mentioned that. What are we paying our employees? We should always pay them what they are worth, because if they feel like they are being valued and they are family, like Sifu said, they will go the extra mile. And then finally, the culture. Because culture is not just about dressing a certain way, living in South Africa, eating a certain diet, dressing a certain way, looking or talking. It's about a place and a people. And the culture is the people. Different businesses have different cultures. And I have to say, Sifu, when I was at the dojo, which is only one of your businesses, the culture there is family. The culture there is empowerment. And I think if we go back to those basics, we are going to just do fine. Then we don't have to worry when we scale and when we grow, because the foundation is strong. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of the things that I've realized, that if there is someone who works for me and they're really valuable, somebody's going to steal them. So I'm going to pay them more. They would be dumb to leave me, because nobody's going to pay them what I'm going to pay them. So I overpay them. And one of my employees recently said, yeah, one of my friends, I was talking to my friends, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how much you make. And they said, yeah, I love it. And I said, you'll always have a place here, because I want this to be your home. And that to me speaks volumes, because if I value them, I need to pay them more than they're willing to go somewhere else and try to get $1, right? So for me, that's important.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I think is interesting, I'd be curious to see from Andrew's perspective as well. To me, if you look at the family, I have equity in my family, right? If my wife makes money, if I make money, we're both in this together. And so to me, if you say, how do we get to that environment? If you're in a startup environment, usually everyone's in it together, because the only way we're going to make money is if the company gets bigger, right? And they have equity in it. And that's where sometimes if you're only paying employees, if it's like 100% of my money is coming from salary, then I'm an employee. What's my upside if we win? Are we doing profit sharing? Do we have some equity exit? So that's, I think, the issue that I've seen sometimes with being family is, and then there's also a question of, hey, if we have revenue downturns, what do we do? In a family, we all tighten our belt together, but often businesses will then lay people off and cut people. So that's where I think you can kind of end up structurally. Are you treating people like family, where we're like, hey, here's a problem as a family, let's try to solve it. Do you do that in the business world? Hey, our revenue's down 10% because the economy's doing this. Can we take a 10% wage cut? And so that's where I'd be curious what you've seen, Andrew, on that, because it seems like structure has a big effect on how people end up getting treated and how they perceive their position in the company.
Okay, no, great. I mean, I would say, like before, running a successful business is all about leadership. And, Sifu, I need to applaud you, because most business owners are oblivious to culture or what it is. And, one of your most important jobs as a business owner is to create a culture. And that's really about, how we do things here. And, if you don't do that, then your employees are going to define the culture, and it's probably not going to be the one that you want. So, and
Yes.
and plus, people see you, people watch you. So if what you do isn't aligned with what you say, then that really causes problems. So, as a leader, you have to lead yourself first and create an environment that, if it was family this week and then, competitive next week, and, then nobody's going to know what's going on. So you have to actively, think about the culture you want, align everything you do to support that, and understand, it has to evolve, and, money is important, but money is not the number one thing that's going to get people to stay, because people don't leave companies, they leave people. So,
That's right. Guys, guess what? We are over by 5 minutes, and I know that we can keep going and going and going. I want to thank you both for being here. I have a meeting. I'm going to a really important meeting. So, because business is business, and when we show up late, it just doesn't help anybody, right? So, thank you, gentlemen. Juanita, it's always an
guys.
impeccable. Oh, I love you guys. I love you guys, all of you, because you came and you shared your knowledge. And
Thank you
that's a
so
beautiful
much.
thing.
You guys are amazing, Sifu, and I appreciate you. Thank you for all your knowledge and experience, and for being here, for taking that time, to edify the audience. And we are definitely going to go forward from strengths to strengths, and we would love to also have you back in the future to recap and just to continue this wonderful conversation. It was amazing.
Yeah, we definitely would love to have you guys back for sure, because the conversation is just getting started, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, everybody.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.
okay.
Bye.